Welcome all. So let's talk about forgiveness. I think we have been talking about understanding the rituals so far, understanding the festivals, the meaning, all the spiritual practice. I think we also need to understand and build certain qualities in our mind because these are the building blocks of our spiritual growth. So the gratitude and forgiveness both come hand in hand. So usually gratitude is a lot more easier for anyone to pick it up, but whereas when it comes to forgiveness, it's very hard for anyone to undergo that process. Because for someone it's gratitude or anything thankful or anything empathy, it happens spontaneously. But I find it more difficult when it comes to forgiveness. So that's what I'm going to share today. So before we get it started, this video is actually part of this 48 days of holistic living, where we are going to do an intensive forgiveness for next few days. Each and every element of nature and their self, we will be doing it. But now I'm going to release this video to public to make sure that anybody who sees this can practice forgiveness. They do not have to really feel they've missed something. Okay. So I want to share a real life story here, an incident that shook the nation at some point of time, and I want to share that incident. That incident is called as a Green River Killer. It's a real story of a psychopath. So the story goes like in 1980s. During that time, there was a man, an unknown man, who used to abduct the young girls, mostly sex workers, runaways or orphan kids who don't have anybody to be questioned. So he used to abduct them and abuse them, and finally he would murder them, and even after they died he would come back to the site and again engage in physical relationship with that dead body. When the body is spoiled, that's when he hunts for the next girl, and then the body would be dumped in a river. So that's why the famous name Green River Killer came to him. Nobody couldn't find who is that person, and the girls were missing, since most of these girls were runaway and society doesn't care about it. So most of them they were unidentified bodies. So it went for a long time. In fact, this process continued for 20 years, and after 22 years FBI were still trying to trace the DNA and somehow linked, and they found this killer linked with some couple of murder cases. So when they confronted him and said he is going to be given a death sentence, and if he is ready to confess and share all the locations whomever he has killed and tell the truth, maybe the judge would give him a life sentence just to save from the death. Then he opened up and he said, yeah, I'm killed. So according to the FBI record, they had 40 people in their list, but what he disclosed was more than 80 people, which was really shook the nation at that point of time. All the medias were covering him. And then he even said that, I don't remember, I think 80 is what I could remember. I think I've done more. I don't even know it. In fact, there were certain bodies where they couldn't even identify who they were. And he was such a cold-blooded person, and they were trying to, all the psychiatrists and a lot of people were trying to understand his mindset, how a human can go till that level. Like killing seems to be a hobby for him. When they asked him, why do you kill such young girls? And he always said like, it's my career. He felt like it's his job to kill those people, and he felt so satisfied seeing them suffer and die. So he was such a cold-blooded person, and anybody, when you tell this story, or even when they read it, their heart would really like pump and with rage and anger, like how can this person be allowed to live? In fact, he has to be killed. That's how everybody thinks. So now let's go from here to the courtroom, what happened there. So in the courtroom, when the magistrates, they read the list, that's typically how it happens. So what I'll do is I'll give the description, and the description I'll give you the link of that actual trial happened. I want you to pause the video here right away and go and spend that few minutes and watch what happened, how he reacted to those felony charges on him. I'll wait, in fact. You please watch the video so that you will understand the gravity of what I'm going to talk after the video. Okay, so now you have watched the video. If you look at it, the judge would read like, hey, so and so person, this age, you have killed it. Are you guilty or not? he would respond back and say, yeah, I'm guilty. Then second person, they'll take the list and they'll read. Every time when they take a new victim and say, are you guilty or not, there was not even an ounce of kindness or love or regret or guilty or sorry from that man's heart. He was like casually telling them like, yeah, I did it. I'm guilty, and I'm guilty. He never felt bad in any moment of it, which made people in the courtroom very, very uneasy. Everybody felt like, really, how can a man be like this? At least now he should cry for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. But this guy didn't show any sign at all. So then came a moment when the magistrate says like, okay, go ahead and we'll call the parents and let them talk to this guy. And as you know, every parent were like literally like shouting on him and like telling like, you should die out of pain more than the daughter which suffered. You should die out of suffering. You should go to hell. God will never forgive you. He really did not bother at all. He just felt like, okay, so what? So he was in that attitude. But then the golden moment came. Then one old man came who lost his daughter. So when he saw him and he said like, I'm just going to, I know everybody wants you to be dead and suffer, but I'll tell you, I don't know what you have undergone in your childhood. I just want to let you know that I have completely, from my heart, I have forgiven you. The moment he said that father who lost his daughter, and he has forgiven that man who was the reason for her death, and he said, I've forgiven you, this man's heart suddenly melted. And he started crying, and he broke down and he spoke to all the and announced that I'm really sorry for what I did. Finally, that even that stone-hearted person, the worst person in the planet at that point of time, heart melted from the forgiveness. So it's kind of very tough when we want to forgive someone. Like somebody who has done something wrong to you, or some set of people have done something wrong, and when you go and when they're ready to come back and they realize that they have done something wrong, and when they say to you, ask for forgiveness, most of us would understand the situation and we would say, okay, I forgive you. But we might be in a situation where those people are still committing the same mistake or still hurting you a lot. How do you forgive? That's what most of the people say. No, how can I forgive this person? He is still hurting me. And how can I forgive? He has done so much back to me and he has not even realized it. In fact, he thinks what he did is right. So when we get into the mindset, that is where forgiveness is so hard here. Okay, then what made this father to forgive? So you have to understand from his speech, and if you go back, we need to understand the killer's childhood from here. So let's understand now what was the Green River killer's childhood looked like. This is a beautiful lesson we as a parents or anybody should learn from this. When you look at this person's life, he had a very disturbing childhood. His father was a constant alcoholic and a physical and a sexual abuser. So it was domestic violence in the house, kids growing in that environment, daily seeing that they start manifesting, believing that this is how women are to be treated, and this is how a man gets pleasure, having control over a weaker, over other sex. So that has made him, and he was already a dyslexic, and he had a lot of psychiatric problem because from a young age he has seen all those things and he has undergone those physical abuse. So even his mind was so affected that even till 13 or 14 he was bedwetting, and his mother used to wash his private parts. So that kind of touches has made him more sexually aroused, and he started fantasizing his mother and even killing her. So this created a wiring in his head permanently that he gets pleasure seeing a woman suffering or killing them or something that created him. So that's a disturbing childhood he created. Probably this girl's father would have seen through that and just forgive him. Anybody in that situation would have turned into this, or it could have been a different person. So end of the day, if you look at people who hurt us, we can't forgive. If you look at their side, what made them what they have undergone in their life to come to this position so that they hurt someone and they get a satisfaction. So most of the time when you take it, you will feel like forgiving them. Okay, spiritually speaking here, there are only two kinds of energy we attract when we leave the body. So the people whom we like the most, we get attracted, we think about them all the time, and equally we think people who hurt us the most, who has harmed us, because these are the two people most of the time our thoughts run in our head, and these impressions stay with us for a long time because we are focusing on that only all the time. Okay, at some point of time it keeps coming every day in your mind. Okay, because of this person only my life changed, because of this incident my life is gone. So the problem is when you die, when you go out, the soul takes your impression with it. So it doesn't take your body, it doesn't take your wealth or knowledge or anything. It takes your memory. It takes your memory and impressions along with it. So when the soul goes to the another body, when it finds, it will make sure all these kinds of people again come back to them. So if you do not forgive those people right now in this lifetime, you will most likely meet the same person in a different form who will hurt you in a different way, because you have given invitation or you have kept the thread running and you've gone to the next lifetime. So spiritually speaking, you have to cut the cord here right away. Forgive them from your heart. Let them go completely out of your life, from your memory. That event has already happened. That person has already changed. You have changed. Things have changed around it here. Now what is hurting you is the memory of that event. Some incident happened. That memory is in your head. You keep replaying, and you're getting into hurt zone. Rather, you just forgive. From your heart, you just let them go. And let them do completely so that they are blessed. That's it. You might ask, okay, why am I have to suffer? They have done so much, why don't they suffer? See, their suffering, their blessings or curse is their karma, it is their journey. That's it. Nature would know what has to be done. Definitely nature is karma is an unbiased, what do you call, a watchdog. It will give him what they need at their time. You do not have to get a pleasure of what, if they hurt you, seeing them getting hurt is not, then the moment you feel happy about they getting hurt, you're creating another karma in life of seeing somebody suffer. So you are adding even more complexity here. So stop it here and don't go in the chain reaction here. So completely let go. That is the important reason. So forgiveness and gratitude are like two sides of a coin. When you cultivate this habit, no matter what spiritual practice, even if you don't know anything, just being in that good quality state is more than enough to elevate your soul to a very different level. I'll share a small glimpse of my personal story here. Say, from a childhood, for example, I had a very disturbing childhood. So my father was an alcoholic, and I have seen a lot of domestic violence, and I have undergone physical abuse at a very deeper level. It really disturbed me, and due to that hatredness I had towards my dad, I never spoke to him. I don't remember recollecting talking to him in a friendly tone at all in my entire life. I don't even know how can I talk to my... I feel really uneasy to see when the father and the kids are together happy. I feel so awkward looking at them. How can they be like this? It feels so uneasy for me because I've never seen it, I've never experienced it. So I hated my dad such a level that I never spoke to him. All the way till teens, I never spoke to him. It's mostly about arguments or something like that. Though my dad changed a lot, and after a certain stage he was trying to be as friendly as possible, but still that hatredness I had, I never gave that space for him. All the way he went to a renal failure, and finally he was an incubator and I lost him. Till he lost, I never spoke to him. Very from heart to heart conversation never happened. I never felt connected. In fact, at some point of time in one domestic violence happened, and some neighbors came to solve it, and they said, what can we do with your dad? And I just said, I remember that line. I said, I don't even bother if this person dies. In fact, if this person dies, I'll be the happiest person. So see, it happened in childhood. I still remember it because that impression is still in my head. So now coming back, after he passed away, and I started exploring my life, and I was undergoing spiritual practice, and I said, why there are certain things happened in my life, and what is the reason behind it? How can I avoid it, and how can I find my purpose, and that's when I realized that though I did a lot of practice, I never progressed it. I then realized that it is because I couldn't forgive my dad for various reasons, and it is stopping me from going to the next level. So that is when I started understanding his childhood. Okay, what he would have undergone in his lifetime to be such a dad and to create such an environment. And then when I understood his childhood journey, and that's when I understood that anybody in that situation would have done it. So that's when I completely forgive him, and I really miss him after some point of time. And I started blessing him, doing all the ancestral related things. Whatever best I could do, I do it. I don't miss any Amasya day. I know he is blessing me back when I could travel. When I do, there are certain meditations where you can go and meet your ancestors. I could see a happy face of my dad. I see him blessing me. He's so happy that I accepted him. I could see life transforming changes happening in my life when I did that real forgiveness. So, so I'm sure what I have undergone is very, very. You can't compare mine with everybody else. Everybody has their own share of forgiveness story. So that is why I say this is the right moment. Do not wait for even that person doesn't exist in your life, even they are still the same person. Doesn't matter. Just forgive them. If you can reach them out, call, take the phone right away, make a list and say forgive. Just tell them whatever happened at that point of time. I understand based on that situation you gave your best and I gave my best. We don't have to be the same, but just in case, I'm just forgiving you for all the mistakes you have done, and in case I have knowingly or unknowingly done anything to you, please forgive me from your heart. I just want to release it. Just do it right away. In fact, the best thing is cut the call and make a list of people, whomever come in your mind, ask for forgiveness. Always go to bed with gratitude, and forgiveness is the best exercise you can give to yourself. And don't carry those impressions to the next day, to the next lifetime. So that is a practice I want to say. And for 48 days, we will do a very detailed version. I'll post another video, understanding everybody's energy, for whom, how it works. But in general, whoever sees this video, daily when you sleep or whenever you feel you want to ask forgiveness, be the first person to forgive. Immediately cut them off from your card and keep yourself clean and shielded for your better future. So that's all I could say about forgiveness. So I'll see you in the next video with another interesting topic. Thank you.